In the history of American publishing, New York City played a pivotal role. In the 19th century, Park Row in Lower Manhattan was known as Newspaper Row. It was home to the great papers, famous publishers and editors: James Gordon Bennett of the Herald, Tribune founder Horace Greeley, Joseph Pulitzer of The World, and Henry Raymond, founder of the New York Times. Manhattan was also home to the nation's most successful evangelical Christian publisher, the American Tract Society. As a testament to its publishing power, the Tract Society's skyscraper, constructed in 1894, overshadowed both the Tribune and New York Times buildings.
The American Tract Society was briefly one of the most powerful organizations in America. They would print up hundreds of thousands of tracts and Bibles and what have you. And we see during the Gilded Age that there is a marked rightward turn within many American Christian communities. And a lot of that can be ascribed to the activism of organizations like the American Tract Society, who used the changes in printing technology to disseminate a very culturally conservative form of Christianity as it never had been before.
During this period, a number of Freethought periodicals also flourished, many published by prominent abolitionists and suffragists. And while they never posed a serious threat to the influential metropolitan dailies or the American Tract Society, they did provide an alternative voice.
We think of the dominant players, the New York Herald, the New York Times, which became dominant. These were governed by men. But there were lots of other players. There was a whole world of an alternative press in the Midwest, in the East, later in the West. And women were significant players in this.
Matilda Jocelyn Gage published a newspaper called the National Citizen and Ballot Box. And that was the official publication of the National Women's Suffrage Association, which was the organization founded by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony.
There were religious publishers, there were secular publishers, free-thinking publishers. We start out with Fanny Wright in the early 19th century. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton published The Revolution in New York City in the 1870s. Victoria Woodhull and her sister Tennessee Claflin Woodhull published Woodhull and Claflin's Weekly. These were very lively, interesting, in many ways quite radical papers. Bennett had one of these papers, The Truth Seeker.
In 1873, during a drought in Paris, Illinois, D.M. Bennett got into a debate with clergymen in the local newspaper over praying for rain. After the editor refused to print his infidel letters expressing his opinion that prayer was useless, the Shaker turned freethinker decided to publish a periodical with the intent of giving equal voice to advocates on all sides. His wife Mary named it The Truth Seeker.